would like to introduce Bernie Hogan. He's a research fellow of Oxford Internet Institute, and he'll be providing, again, a broad backdrop, I think, for our afternoon session, giving us a sense of what really is out there and how people are behaving, some of the real truths that are underpinning some of the assumptions that a lot of organizations are making in the commercial world. So, Bernie, would like to come up? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, guys. I'm a research fellow at the Oxford Internet Institute. So this is Oxford's newest department. We are an interdisciplinary shop, and we do some sociology, political science, policy, a bit of computer science in there, info science, really trying to get a sense of what people are doing on the web, the main issues, big ideas. So this talk won't be overly practical, although I hope I will be able to give everyone a little something useful for their own research. Generally speaking, this afternoon, I'm going to talk to what I like to call the "my mom is on Facebook" issue, which is what happens when, well, not my mom's okay. She's fine. I don't mind mom. But no, how do we deal with, hey, we're social. We're so social online. We're overly social. We have too much. I've got social coming out of my ears. I'm tweeting. I'm on Google Wave now. I think I've drowned in a Google Wave over the weekend. And between that, email, it's pretty overwhelming. So if we want to multiply the value of these social networks in these spaces, we can do something better than simply add ties. So I'll show a little about that. So first off, why local? Well, this is one of these big questions. Why are we even bothering with local? And it's because scale matters. The fact that local means the things that are accessible, the things that are close, they are top of mind. They are useful. They are what I can get to. So this is a nice little graphic here, not really showing up too well. This is the view of the world from a New Yorker's perspective, or from Manhattan, and we could see, the size of the image that's dedicated to 9th Avenue and 10th is very large, and then it sort of thins out as we go over the rest of the U.S. and some vague landmarks up there, and very thin in the back is Russia, I guess. Maybe Sarah Palin's house is there. Obviously, we can see that. So, and it's a this image sort of captures visually this. A lot of these things we talk about online, the 80-20 rule or power laws, the fact that the online world leads to these great asymmetries of participation, the fact that most of your user base for your various applications are not going to be submitting very much content, and a few are going to be submitting a lot of content, and most of that content's not going to be relative, but some is relative. We use words like the long tail to capture this, and so capturing all of these different scales, including the local one that's near, is very important to a lot of people. So here's just an example. This is some data I plucked out from my colleagues talking about why local matters for ICT interaction generally. This is from a study that I helped conduct in Toronto, Canada, and we can see that in this chart here, there's most email contacts, or most frequently contacted people, are those within basically driving distance, within the city. And then it drops off dramatically as we go to this long tail of connectivity. And so these trend lines show these different phases that we go through. And these phases are often walking distance, driving distance, and flying distance. And so that shows up in our media as well. Here's some work by some colleagues of mine. This is, these guys, what they did is capture MySpace profiles, publicly available MySpace profiles, asking, were rural people linking to other rural profiles or to urban ones? Is New York the center of the world for everyone? Is it like a core with all this periphery? And it turns out that's not the case. Rural were linking to rural, and urban to urban. And so, space still matters on these sites. In fact, if we overlay the sort of the general network, where the network is for all these people, we can see that the red groups, and it's washed out, but they're overlapping with each other a lot more effectively, or a lot more clearly, than they are overlapping with the urban ones. The actual numbers in the paper, they tell a more clear story, I guess, but it is after lunch, and I am an academic, so I'm already testing your patience with some numbers. So we'll just Just trust me on the graphic. But so there was this lovely book came out from a Harvard Business School press. You know, these big books like The Social Life of Information is a lovely title, and this is another one, The Death of Distance. Nope. It's not true. Now, I mean, poor Frances gets a bad rap for this book. You know, she's at Oxford. I discovered after I was using her as a whipping boy of sorts, and probably shouldn't have been. She said, "Oh, I'm Frances. Oh, sorry," but no, and she really was trying to hype up the distanceless properties of the internet. And as we know, it's not really about distance. It's about the reconfiguration of access. It's who are we accessing, and local makes sense because that's the spatial things often that we can access. And access is important because you want to access stuff. You want to buy something, you want to have it in your hands. I mean, the post works as well, but it also works to actually look in the bookstore and peer through, or if you're buying things from bricks and mortar, it's useful to be able to access these things. So this came up a little bit in the first talk, although probably not from similar intuitions, maybe not similar theoretical backgrounds. This is Barry Wellman. He's an internet sociologist in Toronto, and he has this nice schema talking about differences in how we network over time. And the earliest networking, I guess from the caveman days forward, was door to door. If you want to access somebody, you would literally have to walk over and knock on their door. I'm assuming there were cavemen and whatnot. I don't know if they had clubs, but you know, I'm assuming they were there. And then all the way up until the telegraph, we pretty much had to do this, knock on some doors. And then it became place to place. And that is when, you know, I can access a place. I don't need to go to that door, but I can access the place. So I call a phone, and it might be the person I want that answers. It might be the secretary. It might be someone's, kids who answer the phone, or their parents. I can send a letter to a fixed address. Great, and so that worked out for most of the 20th century, but now we're networking person to person, which is that each individual has their own sort of point of call. The person is portal now, and so I have my own inbox, and the other people in my house also have their own inbox. They have their own instant messaging account. This is because the way data works is we want to assign an identity to each individual person. Well, what's good about this person-to-person networking is that because each individual has their own identity and we can store them in databases, we can link them together in networks. So person-to-person networking doesn't undermine distance. Just because I can link to specifically any individual person doesn't mean I want to link to anyone in the world. I'm still constrained by the people I want to meet face-to-face and whatnot. But what it does do is means that each individual has their own unique relationships. It's like a thumbprint. If you look at not only my ties, but the relationships between them, there's no two networks on Facebook that look exactly the same. It's just, theoretically, it's possible, but the odds of it happening are, as much as picking the right grain of sand off a beach. It's very, very, very small. So we live in an age of access now where we're accessing unique, specific individuals, and to be local is to be accessible.